Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with me, Steve. Would you mind letting me know again and the people who might be watching this a little tiny bit about you, where you're from and what you do, please?
Well, my name's Steve Smith. I'm the National Sales Manager for Horn Cutting Tools. I've been with the company for 23 years. Prior to that, I had 10 years in distribution. So I've been connected to the cutting tool industry for over 30 years. I was time served, did an apprenticeship in the company that was supplying parts to the mining industry. And then I went into production engineering, CNC programming, and that got me into an interest in cutting tools. And obviously started my career path. That's brought me to Horn, and I think it can be fair to be said, after 23 years, I'm happy with the company, and I think it's a fantastic product, and hence the number of years service, really.
And how long have you had a working relationship with ACT Group? ACT Group is what we call them these days, ACT Group.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually known Mychael for probably 20 years prior to the ACT Group being founded. But I mean, we've been actively supporting the ACT Group since 2006 when it first, when it first came to market. So yeah, we've had a very good, close working relationship.
What's it like working with Mychael? He's not listening. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I've always found him, he's very, I think it's fair to say he's demanding, because obviously he wants the best for his customers, and that's what I would expect. So if there's something that needs doing, we work together, we find a solution. At the end of the day, the most important thing is ensuring that Mychael's customer gets the product that he wants, and the product does what the customer expects. But Mychael's always been very fair, very open. I think for the relationship to have gone on since 2006, there's got to be a strong element of trust there with each other. And I think Mychael's got that with us, and vice versa.
I think fairness is an important thing, because I think, when I've seen Mychael working, he is very demanding, I think. But at the same time, if he got the wrong side of the line, then you just wouldn't work with him, would you? Everybody has to win. Ultimately, it seems to me that ultimately, if the client wins and you're giving them what they want when they need it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it is a very competitive market that we work in.
Yeah.
The challenges are getting greater. The pot's getting smaller, with the demise of manufacturing over the last 10 years, probably, with some of the big names, reducing in size. So people have to, be up for the fight, really. And I think Mychael's got that enthusiasm to go out there and try and win the business. And to be able to do that, he needs the support of, likes ourselves and other cutting tool companies.
And when your customers use your cutting tools again and again over time, can you put your finger on, this is a tricky question, Steve, can you put your finger on why loyalty is a big part of what you manage to achieve? Because it seems to me that you win and keep a lot of business. Why do people stay?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky question, but it's also a good question. And I think one of the ways to answer that is because usually, and from my time myself, when I worked on a machine or I was programming a machine, one of the most important things, you had to be confident in what you was using. You wanted the minimal downtime, you didn't want inserts breaking or tools breaking, and basically to make an operator's life easy and going to work being a pleasure, really. But when you put a product like ours on a grooving, which can be quite a challenging operation, the quality of the product means that there aren't any issues. There's good tool life. There's no breakages. Everybody has the odd smash or something like that. But it's reliability and trust in the product. And coupled with that, then the important fact is that up to the pandemic starting, all our guys had a fantastic relationship with the end user. So it's all about building on relationships, face-to-face contact we thought was very important, and making sure that the customer felt happy to come to us with new inquiries, new projects, because we live in it's forever changing,
Can I
and
ask you?
demands are changing.
Can I ask you a question about the end user, as you brought
Yeah.
up, the customer, Steve? How do you balance and you can tell me if I've got the wrong end of the stick here. It seems to me that the guys and gals on the shop floor, maximizing uptime, minimizing downtime, continuation of productivity. And then is there a different pressure that might come for a director level that might be more about price? My goodness, I've got the flipping spreadsheet and I've seen what we spent on cutting tools,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm going to make something up. Is there ever a scenario where the directors, the ladies and the gentlemen there, would be trying to push price down, obviously, but
Yeah.
there's a balance, it would seem to me, because on the shop floor, the guys and gals down there are saying, look, if we don't get the flipping tool right, there's too much downtime. We're not actually as productive as we could and should be. How do you get that balance? Because there's more than one type of flipping customer inside the same company.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to appease both parties, really. And I think the way we go about it is that we keep a close eye on the work that we're involved with. We ensure that we're always trying to have product improvement. So we're trying to improve the process as we go along. If there's a new grade, a new development, new geometry, we make sure the customer's aware of it. Any savings, we're always listing down the savings, is it using a narrow insert on parting off so you save more material? And then at the end of the year, usually we have a meeting at director level or with the higher management, and we can present those savings to them and say, this year we have saved you, though you have spent this much on tooling, we have actually saved you X thousands of pounds. Okay. And normally that is enough to satisfy the customer that we're doing a good job for them. But I think one thing that happens quite frustratingly is cutting tools are always targeted as the go-to option for reducing costs, when if you look at the full machining process and take everything, all the overheads down to the machine tool, the coolant and everything else that's involved, the material costs, it's normally the cutting tools which are the easy target. So we often get challenged. The first thing a buying department might say is, you've spent X thousands of pounds with ACT Group or with Horn, and that needs to be reduced. And it's and usually, we can say, well, we have actually reduced these year on year, and increased productivity at the same time. So it's getting that balance right. You are, Michael, right, Michael. It is getting that balance correct.
I mean, to talk about balance is really interesting, because when Michael and I have chatted from time to time, we said it's quite easy to get a customer the wrong cutting tool at a cheaper price really quickly. It's like, hang on, because oftentimes the narrative that we hear out there is we need it now. We've got to save on price. And well, hang on, let's just pause a second. Let's make sure it's the right cutting tool for the job. And by the way, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you're infinitely more experienced than me. I don't think we have to pause for days and weeks. It's just, let's try and understand what we're trying to do. And we can prescribe more accurately.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How often? Sorry, honestly.
Yeah, I think Horn, I mean, people will say about Horn, you don't see promotions from Horn every other week or every month, or this is something now, buy this, get this free, or this is the latest thing. And I think that's because we, in the true machining sense, you wouldn't have that in a real life where suddenly one product is becoming the pick of the week and you should be using that. And then next month, this is pick of the week and should be using this, because if on the machining discipline, it's a matter of getting the right tool on the right job, and that's how we go about it, really. And so,
is your range broad and deep? Do you work in several categories and you have many SKUs?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I mean, Horn, it was established as a grooving company in Germany, but over the years, we've grown now into other disciplines. And I think people, when they see the box set of catalogues, it's endless. I mean, we have it all online. It's through his website, but the actual physical catalogues, which Horn still print, it's hundreds and hundreds of pages of products covering milling, turning, threading, grooving, all machining disciplines. And some of the milling ranges that we do now, it's absolutely fantastic, and it's to be considered up there with you know, with some of the more companies that you would associate as being a milling specialist.
Okay.
And we have some accounts who only use us as milling products, and you know, some that use us for groove turning. But
so the offer is quite broad and quite deep within each category as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 120,000 product variants within the range from Horn. I mean, we manufacture 9 million inserts per year, so it's quite a varied market. And I think it's also important to say, Michael, that you know, a large percentage, or in the UK, it's around 35% of its turnover, is actually what we purpose make for customers as a bespoke item or a special tool. And we've put a lot of investment into that area, so that, and this is one of the things that Mychael and ACT Group uses for as well, whereas we can, from design to delivery, we can supply the complete process. And it's something that we've really got a good label for, has been efficient in special tooling.
I'm interested in that, particularly in the context of, you mentioned online. Okay, so you and I, well, I won't make any assumptions about your age. I know how old I am. But basically, we will have seen the digital revolution, let's call it, but digital come more and more into our, you know, 20 years ago, we'd have gone, oh, flipping heck, it's this newfangled thing that the kids are looking at. But now, of course, it's at the heart of what we do, would you say? How has the influx of digital communication affected your day-to-day, please, Steve?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not going to hide the fact that people who know me know, if they feel the weight of my briefcase, I'm still predominantly a paper man.
Okay.
I still keep a diary, I still everything. You will not see me walking around just with an iPad and everything's there. I'm very much a paper man. And a lot of people within Horn, we've adopted the new way, obviously, with Zoom meetings and everything we have to do now online. And I think the pandemic's accelerated that as well, and we've had to become aware of it. But at Horn, because a lot of our engineers have all got long service with the company, we're all in as later years. We're a little bit older and experienced than maybe some of the other companies. Yeah. So we may be a little bit behind catching up. We're not I would not say we're at the forefront of digital technology. I mean, I logged on to this Zoom meeting probably 10, 15 minutes early, just to make sure that the connection were going to be right and everything were there. So
no, I think it's interesting what you say, because strangely, in the defence, I mean, I've got, my background is a little bit, you know, I've run companies that do work in the digital space, but I like to write things on the wall. Sometimes I think if it's not written down or I can't see it, it doesn't exist. Yeah. Well, the reason I say this is because really, you know, the digital side, I've seen your website, we've seen your offer online, it does what it's supposed to do. You don't need to talk about it that much. In fact, if you did need to talk about it that much, arguably it's not doing what it's supposed to do, because ACT Group is moving in an increasingly digital way as well. But you know what, when Mychael talks to me about it, he won't quite rock back in his chair, fold his arms and go, there it is. But the point is, if you, me, or Mychael have to explain and go into the finer points of it, then it isn't doing what it's supposed to do, because it's a slicker, more automated way. But I do think that forevermore, the personal connection, it's a key part, isn't it? It's a very important.
Yeah, it is, and it is a key part. And I think one of the things I admire about Mychael and the ACT Group really is the drive to actually push the company through like the digital process. And obviously, you know, there's all the different Mycool and my vend and things like that. And it's the ambition to do that. And it's probably something that I'll put my hands up and say, you know, I probably wouldn't have that enthusiasm to push down the digital route as much. I would always prefer a face-to-face meeting than I would talking to a screen. I'd always prefer to actually visit a company, get a feel for it, walk through the shop, and usually as well, seeing things away from the digital side. A lot of meetings now, or you could have something conducted back through Zoom or Teams or any other platform. But I think when you go visit a company and you're used to going into there, many people in the cutting tool industry will agree with this, that it's on your way out as you walk in through the shop floor and the guy sees you and he'll shout over, Steve, have you got a minute? Can you just come over and just have a look at this? I've been having a nightmare with this job. And as you go through, and he's just picking up things as you go through the company. Whereas if you've had a start 9:30, finish 10, Zoom sat in front of the laptop, you may be doing a spiel on a product or whatever. You've not had that contact in the company, and I think that's I think there's a lot is getting missed by doing it that way.
People ask me what I miss most about the flipping pandemic and the distance between people, and I said I think it's serendipity, it's accidental conversations. It's can you exactly what you just said, can you help me out with, can you help me out with this? Well, the last thing I'll mention is just to pick up on something you said. Michael and I talk about the difference between trying to lead a category and trying to drive a category. And Michael, you know, he's keen on driving the category. He wants to do things for the first time, which requires bravery, innovation, and being pioneering as well, but not in every area. You know, some of the things that ACT Group try, they work, and some things they don't, you know, because I think that's the nature of doing new things. Which brings me on to my last question, if you don't mind, Steve, and it's a little bit about the future. It's a little bit about how you see flipping. You know what? Who knows what's going to happen next week? But I'm going to ask you about 2022, 2023. What's going on? What's happening for Horn? How do you feel about the next couple of years?
Yeah. Well, I mean, thankfully, I mean, Horn as a company have still continued to invest heavily when times have dropped off. They've still invested at constant expansion. They've extended the factory over in Tübingen, and the research into new products, new developments, new grades, because there's new materials and new processes, new challenges coming along all the time. So we feel that we're really geared up. We're confident that as we go into 2022, things will improve, the market will improve. Some of the problems we've had with Brexit and deliveries and customs and that, those will start to hopefully settle down. And we will be able to introduce these products to market through conduits like ACT Group, and be able to say, you know, let's speak to your customers about these new products. And a lot of work's been going on behind the scenes. Whilst this pandemic's been going on, everybody has been sat at home and just doing nothing. I mean, in Germany, the R&D department's been developing new grades, new geometries, new coating technologies, investing in expanding the factory. So this will, I mean, we'll see a big surge 2022 into 2023 of new products being launched, and hopefully back the return to trade shows, the MAC and the platforms to get us product out there, really. So I'm confident for a really good next few years.
And on the subject of confidence, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've managed to retain all of your team?
Yes, we've got all of our team, and that's been really good.
Well, that's a nice point to end on, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
Lots of people haven't been able to do that, and we're in a people business, aren't we? Particularly you. So
yeah, that's right.
It seems to me that you're interested in looking after the people inside your business as well as outside.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our engineers, they've had, you know, the minimum probably 15 years service with the company. They've built up a lot of relations in that time, and it's the people that, you know, is one of your most valuable assets. And whatever that, they were the last people who would have been affected by the pandemic. So I'm really pleased with being able to keep on hold of everybody. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's brilliant, and thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me today, Steve.
It's been a pleasure, Michael. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Bye.